is my family.
The occasion is Mum's 90th birthday, and I have the honour of being the chef for today. I don't mind, as a matter of fact. I enjoy cooking because I think I've been gifted to cook, and what I'm going to do today is a little bit different because I haven't done it before, and that is I'm going to cook some very large fillets of meat, beef, and the usual onions, sausages for the kids, what we call them pineapple rings. Then I'm going to put on some fish for these people that prefer a fillet fish. I've got some nice salmon, some blue cod, and I've got some prawns under there. And in history, if I've got it right, I think I come from a long line of cooks because my mother's late father, my grandfather, was a cook, and I believe he used to have a restaurant in Athens, and in those days you had to develop a good little clientele to keep your business going, obviously, and he was supposedly good, but he died when he was young. He was only a 53-year-old man when he passed away. So I come, as I said, on his side, and also when I was a young fellow, I remember Mum wanting to go down to Sydney, and she was so concerned about leaving us and who was going to cook and how we were going to eat, and we said, look, just tell us how you cook a steak. And Mum told us how we cook a steak. I've just got to get this right here to keep this level. So Mum told me how to cook a steak, and she went off to Sydney and I cooked the steak, which my brothers promptly told me tasted bloody terrible. But anyway, it was the first thing I cooked, and I subsequently learned. And then I went to England, and when I was over there as a young fellow, of course I couldn't afford to eat out, and I used to cook at home. And where I lived with these Aussie fellows in a unit, I became the chef, the chief cook, and I cooked all sorts of things. Meat was the main thing we had over there, meat, but then I could do a rice dish. I learnt to do this nice rice dish, boiling white rice, just boiling it and putting green peas and carrots in it and using a little bit of saffron for colour and that sort of stuff. And I learned to do that, and so all in all, you could say that I was, or I am, accomplished in the art of cooking. Son-in-law James will attest to that. I'm sure he's going to be supportive and say that whatever I've cooked for him when he's been up here on holidays and that, he's gone home and told his mum, he said, I don't know where you learned to cook, Mum, but my father-in-law is really something.
Indeed. And g'day.
This is son-in-law James Stevens, Manuel Stefanu.
Hi, Manuel. How are you?
So when Harry was going to England, well, not before he went to England, when he was a younger fellow, I used to show him how to cook a little bit. And when we'd go out fishing and camping and what have you, we'd cook, and he learnt the basics of cooking, and as a consequence he can look after himself over there in England.
What kind of cook was your mother?
I beg your pardon?
What type of food did your mother cook?
Mum cooked great meals, and I can say that we had a 3-course meal every night at home. We always had a soup, and then a main course, which was like, you know, we'd have fish, with boudin, and then vegetables, and we'd have steak and chops, and also leg of lamb every Sunday. That was traditional in those days, a leg of lamb every Sunday. And then we'd have maybe 1 or 2 Greek dishes a week. Pasticcio was always a favourite with us because we had a lot of macaroni in and a nice cream sauce, you know, across the top. Pasticcio, and then we had, as I said, 3-course meals, and we had dessert every night, which would be, well, a variety of dessert, and of course that had the Highgate Cafe in those days, so ice cream was always plenty of ice cream, but Mum made plenty of apple pie, and that's where I've developed a very strong taste for apple pie. And I won't go into too much detail, but since marrying I haven't tasted too much, but that's another story for perhaps my 90th birthday.
Skewing of apples and
But
pears
Mum,
is
I recall Mum experimenting and making meat pies. She made meat pies, and I remember down in the laundry we had one of those large copper urns for doing the washing in, and I recall Mum in actual fact getting a lot of tomatoes, because Mum always ran a vegetable garden, and I in actual fact did all the hard work of getting the weeds out of the way and levelling and turning it over and preparing it, and then Mum of course worked out where she wanted the different vegetables to be grown. And we had large vegetable patch and tomatoes, and I remember Mum at one stage making tomato sauce in the copper thing downstairs in the laundry. And Mum was a great cook.
Did you eat together as a family?
Pardon?
Did you eat together as a family?
Oh yeah, every night we ate together as a family, all of us.
So what about the cafe?
The cafe, no, we never ate there in the cafe. We always lived at home in Evans Crescent, and we ate there every night. But I remember, I can honestly say that I ate virtually everything except lentils, and that was the only thing that my mum couldn't cook for me to eat were lentils. And I can say that Gula cooks them, and she does them just right. But Mum, I could never eat the lentils. And I remember on one occasion we were sitting at the table, and my sister Nina was next to me, and I got the vinegar, and I put the vinegar in her lentils. And of course she took one taste afterwards. Mum, somebody's put this in. So Mum worked out that it was me, and of course I had to eat it. And I can say I never did that again. And put a bit of salt on these, not too much, just a little bit of salt. And so Mum was a great cook. And then when I went to Greece, and I was the first grandchild for my yaya and auntie and uncle and so on to see in Greece. And Auntie Ketty said to me, oh well, I'm going to buy some fish today. Do you eat fish? Yeah. You sure? I said, yes, I eat fish. Next day I'm going to get some risoles, some chops or something. Do you eat meat? Yes. You sure? Yeah. She was concerned. I said, Thea, I've got a bee around here. I said, Thea, I eat anything. And she was amazed because she had a son, Pablo, who was such a contrarian. And he was about, I think Pablo was about 5 or 7 years younger than me. And I went over there when I was about 21. So he was roughly 14, 15, something like that. And he was the only son and only child. And he was just spoilt rotten. And because I came from a family of 5 and 3 brothers and what have you, where nobody was spoilt, so to speak, I just couldn't stomach this cousin of mine in Greece being so spoiled. And of course I used to give it to him. But that Thea Ketty's passed on now, so I think this is like, what do you call it, things come out of archives after 25 or 30 years. Well, this is coming out of archives now. So,
what kind of mother was your mother?
Mum was, I beg pardon?
As a child yourself, what sort of mother was she?
Mum was the firm mother, and I think she probably was, because she had 4 sons to manage, and we were fairly active and boisterous, and got up to all sorts of tricks at times. And so Mum had to be firm, and she was. But she was interested in what we were doing. She was interested in our schoolwork. She was very quick to send us off to grammar school because she felt that would be the right place to go. She was a person who did improve her own education when she came to Australia. She came when she was 16, and because of that she was interested in learning, and she made it a point to learn English. And Mum's English is very, very good. She can read and write as proficiently as any, I think, Greek immigrant that's come to this country, other than people who are in the arts and scholars and so on. So she was very conscious of the meaning of education, so she had us at the grammar school, and she used to sit at night and go through our homework. Because in those days you had times table and you had your spelling lists, unlike today. In those days they'd give you, maybe had to learn 10 or 15 spelling words, and Mum would sit there and we'd go. There was no TV, of course, in those years, so we couldn't sort of argue we wanted to see something on telly. And she'd go through our homework every night. We used to sit in the dining room, a large table in the dining room. The lounge room was out of bounds, of course. In all Greek homes, that was the sacred room which no child ever dare walk into without having previous permission and what have you. So, yeah, she was keen. She was keen on our sports. She couldn't come to terms with rugby, but nevertheless we played rugby, and whilst at school we were all good at sport. I'm not going to say I was the best, because Brother Jim will be along here and say he was, and but we were all good at sport. Mum was very interested. She'd come to I remember when I was in the school sports, I was in the high school athletic team, and we were running down at Manuka Oval. I was in the mile, the 800 metres, 440. No, I wasn't in the mile. I was in the 440 and 800, and I won both of those. And Mum was there, so she always came along. And she didn't come to rugby games. In those days, not many mothers went to rugby games, really. It was more a real man's game. But today it's a different thing. So, but she was firm, and I'd have to say she took us to church every Sunday. That was, I think. I'm not going to say too much more about how I felt about going to church every Sunday. I had to go, and in those days, of course, church was up at the riverside, just behind Brisbane Avenue. That's where church was. And we didn't have a full-time priest here. On the occasions, Christmas, Easter, and those sorts of things, a priest would come from Sydney. But we were in what they call the riverside huts, behind, as I said, behind Brisbane Avenue, up where Blackhall Street is in Barton. That's where the Greek church was. Just a little hut, actually. My sister was married there in 1960, 61. So that's where that is.
There many Greeks here at that stage?
No, there weren't a great number. There were, I think at that time, the Cassidy family and the Yerakitis had moved from Queanbeyan. They were there originally. I can recall in the 50s as a young boy visiting with Mum and Dad to Yerakiti's home in Queanbeyan. So they were still there. I'm not sure when Mr Yerakiti moved to reside in Canberra. He had his businesses here, but I'm not quite sure when he came here. It may have been during the 50s. But in Canberra then, no, there weren't a lot of Greeks. Well, post-war, obviously, in the 50s, they started to come then. Quite a few would come, had come, and they lived up on the side of hillside hostels, up behind where the Parliament House is on Capitol Hill. On the side of Capitol Hill, on the western side, there were the hillside hostels, and the new immigrants, not only Greeks, all of them, after they arrived and were housed in Bonegilla, they would then come to Canberra or wherever. Yeah.
What was it like having a Greek mum?
I beg pardon?
What was it like having a Greek mother?
Well, I haven't had another one, so I don't know.
Well,
but I think it's
Australian, isn't it?
yeah. Well, no, it's. I think the interesting thing now that one can look back on is on the aspect of having a mother who was an immigrant to this country. I think that's what I could say. Was interesting. We never ever thought of our folks sort of in any other light. We never sort of obviously never wished to be anything else. But it's all part, I think, that when I look back to see how Mum and Dad were here in Canberra, I can see that they were not a novelty, but they were obviously, see, Dad was the first Greek here, so in one sense he was a novelty. And but he made a great name for himself and his with Mum, of course, and because she was supporting Dad down in the Highgate Cafe and working with him there. And they gained a reputation for being great immigrants. They had a great reputation for that, and that really has made it a lot easier for us as children of immigrants to be accepted, so to speak. We no doubt had a few problems when we were kids, but I suppose a lot of the immigrant families did. Yeah. How does that look? Your camera can't capture the smell. I mean, that's where it all is.
Taste and smell.
Does she work in the cafe?
Mum? Oh yeah, definitely. Because in those days, in the early years, they lived behind the cafe. There were rooms there, a little house. Every second property in Kingston had a residence behind it. So apart from the shop itself, there was a bathroom, not a kitchen, just a bathroom, a couple of bedrooms and a laundry down the back and a toilet. So they lived there. When Mum first came to Canberra, that's where she lived with Dad, in the back of the Highgate. And she worked in the kitchen, yes, and did other things. Oh yeah, definitely. So I don't know how long they lived there for, but it would have been a few years. Yeah.
She's fantastic. She really is.
It's fantastic.
She's incredibly intelligent, and she likes my jokes. Not many people do. And,
Very diplomatic.
no. She's very intelligent. She has a thirst for knowledge about language and everything. So I'm always very happy to ring her up and say, Mum, guess what I found out? That the word for rabies is actually lyssavirus, and lyssa is a Greek word. So it's sort of, you know, it was a word I'd heard about and I was just excited. So little things like this. And talking about the derivation of words. Lots and lots of things. And I've told my friends too that I often prefer her company to my girlfriends. Cross my heart, wearing a cross.
So she wasn't tough.
Oh, she was tough. Oh, yes.
Who wants the juice?
She was tough. Yes, but I think she believed that you had to stay at home and watch the children and not be gaddabatting around because there was a likelihood of them catching things. So consequently, by the time mine went to school, they were totally unexposed to everything. And we were half expecting them to be sick all the time, and they weren't too bad. Yes, and I think having 4 sons may have made her a bit, yes, had to be a little tough to control her. My mother was the total opposite. Very, very soft, extremely soft. But my mother always greatly admired my mother-in-law because she was strong and intelligent, as I said. Yes, so here we are, 90 years of age, and she still puts us in the shade, I think, when it comes to certain things.
Okay, granddaughter one, just one quick granddaughter.
We weren't really
Prepared?
Yaya was fantastic. She was always very proud, and she always, although she had so many of us, she always made us feel like she really loves us. I got that feeling with Yaya. I was lucky because I was named after both Yayas, they were both Helens. So they both thought I was so fantastic. Yeah, I was very proud. I remember her coming to my graduation, and she was just in her element. She was the only lady there in her long fur. I was trying to sort of play it down through university for 3 years, that, you know, I'm doing it like all the other students. And then my grandmother comes with the diamond earrings and the long fur. Anyway.
Was she hard to live up to?
No, I don't think so. I think that she paved the way for us nicely.
She didn't set a high standard, did you?
Oh, a very high standard. I'm not saying that I achieved it, but I didn't feel that any disappointment or anything like that. No, always very proud of us.
What did you get from it?
What did I get?
Yeah, what qualities did you get from it?
Oh gosh,
Which was
I think I'd sound very vain if I said I got anything. I think her proudness, her pride, and her dignity. She's very dignified. I'd love to have an ounce of her intelligence. Very bright. And just the overall feeling of being the patriarch of the family. That would be nice, to reach that age and have everyone around you loving you so much and respecting you so much. So, yeah, no more because I might cry. It's Bo! It's Bo!
Hello. This is Jamie.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you? Hello, beautiful girls. Hello, beautiful girls.
Come on.
Oh, the boys are together.
The
Oh,
boys are back in town. In the kitchen. Oh well. Come on, darling.
My mother and father in the middle. I took that photo. I'm very proud of the fact that nearly all the photos here I took, except the old wedding ones, or a lot of them anyway. My mum and dad in Queensland, his mum here, my mother-in-law, with all her grandchildren, or some of them, my late father-in-law. Yes, some various family photos here. And here.
And your mother-in-law is here, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's the...
Yeah, that's how long it is. It's really grown. And
There you go, mate. Fine.
Hello, Reggie. How are you?
great as well, darling. And then you're moving on, darling. How are you?
I do.
I'm okay. How are you?
That's good.
You're looking well.
Happening in the
Hello.
The kitchen, everybody!
This is my Sophie.
How are you? I always see your beautiful Peter around. Do you? That's too well. I did that to him.
Got some nice grandchildren photos here. Yes. Good thing, Good asking family.
Don't worry, I will make sure.
Happy birthday. I've got something coming from Sydney. From Sydney. I just didn't bring it this week. It's really clever. Don't tell me that my hands are cold.
She's been cutting the bread.
Do you want to feel my feet? My feet are also cold.
Helical says.
Oh, don't you?
This is my middle.
Excuse me, we finished our old book. My business book is full and it's starting off a new one Medaglia Nethliasis. Isn't that nice? So there you are, Mum. I think you know the date.
Oh, fantastic. That's a big job.
Yes, put your, oh, name. No, I would put the date there, Mum.
Benjamin. That's all right.
Yeah, it keeps your airways open.
The proper one, the big one.
Would you like your glasses, Mum? I'll get them. I'm after you leave the kisses.
Where's your man?
Good.
He's out playing with Jane.
Okay, lovely. And what a lovely day we have.
Do you want Manuel to do that?
Yes. Or you, Kathy.
Oh, you can do let him do it.
This is my little love.
Hello.
Hi, Auntie Kathy.
How are you?
Another Peter.
How are you, Peter?
Yes.
Are
Oh, sweet.
you does that play music?
Sweetness.
Don't say
Thank
no
you.
in it.
I'll take it inside, Mum. We leave the glasses out.
So where are we going?
I've lost the red one. Oh, there she is.
Can she hold that? You going to show her how to hold it, sweetie?
Helen, Notaras.
Jamie.
Yes, Greek, I think it sounded Greek. But I always sign my signature to Helen Notaras, I'm so used to it.
Are you still writing Greek?
With the button.
Are you still writing Greek?
Writing Greek, of course.
Three little girls in blue, 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 blue. Because we know the secret. The most flattering.
I don't know about me, but I thought I'd put my grey scarf
You
in.
look wonderful.
That goes with it. Yes, go, she's right
Been the birthday lady on her wedding day.
What's the Quran?
I beg your pardon?
How old were you then?
22, I think. Yes, I think I was 22. 1911. And that's 933. So that's 22. Emmanuel wanted to ask a few questions. He couldn't remember the relationship. This gentleman here. This gentleman is the son of Dad's cousin. She's Dad's cousin, and that's Nick Samuels. Το βιβλίο μου, το κλέψαν από το σπίτι.
Whatever you like. No, we're having champagne after.
I'll leave it in for the time.
What would you like to drink, birthday girl?
Now let me look
A
at you.
glass of wine or?
He's good. Hello, Joe. How are you? That's good. I love you, April.
Ελένη, φύγα που έχεις το γάμο.
Τι κλέψαν από το σπίτι.
Η Σάμιος, τι ήταν η ξάδερφα του συγκεκριμένου του Χάρη.
Ναι,
Α, γι' αυτό.
ναι, ναι.
And I said to Nan, she'll get
She said, what you thought you might.
You were 18 in that photo.
How do you know from...
How do I know? Because when you come out in 1927, took us 7 days.
Ναι, ήμουν
Ήσουν 17.
16 ήμουν.
16. Και εδώ λέει 29. Ή 1929. Γεννήθηκε στο 11, έτσι δεν είναι?
Ναι,
Στο 18. Εδώ είναι ο Χρήστος.
ναι, το ξέρω.
You were married, δεν ήσουν παντρεμένοι. Εδώ είσαι
Γεννήθηκε στο 29 ο Χρήστος.
Τι?
Στο 29 δεν γεννήθηκε ο Χρήστος.
Στο 28.
Στο 28.
Whatever that was. Ο Χρήστος 28, ο Πέτρο 25 και εγώ 31. Και ο Κώστας 34 με τον Τζιμ. Ο Κώστας είναι η Σάιμι στο Δημήτρη, το δικό σου.
Ναι,
Ναι, το 34.
εδώ είμαστε με τη θεία την Κέτη.
Ναι, και
Στην
το γάμο
πρεσβεία.
της Νίνα.
Εδώ είναι στην πρεσβεία.
Α, πρεσβεία.
Είναι όλοι,
Ναι, ναι, ναι.
το γνωρίζουμε. Στις 25 Μαρτίου πρεσβεία
Α, ναι,
πάντοτε
που κάνουν
κάνει...
το γιορτή. 29, ο Πόπ ήταν εκεί πέρα 41, ήταν 41. 41 years of age. Ίδιος ο Χρήστος είναι.
Ίδιος ο Χρήστος είναι.
Because these are two days.
That's a lovely photo of you. When was that taken? That's pretty recent.
Couple of years, 3 years, I'm not quite sure.
That's a good photo.
My nieces, leren Czech, Μάλλον ανιψιός του είχε πει Λενάδα και την έχει ακόμα αυτή την κοπέλα, την κοπέλα. Και έγραψε ιστορία και ήθελε να γράψει και αυτό το έκανε ένα βιβλίο, μαγαζίν το έκανε και το έκανε Good Taste. Και έβαλε αυτή την φωτογραφία μέσα, αυτή είναι παρμένη στο μπαλκόνι του δικό μου.
Στο σπίτι σου.
I know you're fine. You're fine, darling. What's going on here? I can see people holding things and Kathy's up there. You know as much as I do, Emmanuel.
Να είναι υγιή.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Να είναι υγιή.
Αυτό είναι το μάθημα.
Κατάλαβες, αλλιώς
Άμα δεν σου στέφεται όλα.
το έμαθα, στο κοίταζε, πέθανε και ο πατέρας της Ρόζη και κοίταζα να δω τον πατέρα της Βούλια. Και πάω και αντί να δω, πέφτει το μάτι μου στο... Ναι.
She sold everything.
Yeah.
Then again, you pay a go and pay 3 or 4 times the normal price.
Is your brother too?
No, this is Manuel Harris from Sydney, and his connection with the family is that his late father was Mum's uncle.
Brother?
Uncle, yeah, uncle. When he came, when Mum... G'day, Jim. How you doing? Good. And when Mum came to Australia, she stayed with the Harris family in Sydney. And then she came to Canberra and she spent time in Sydney, and the Harrises were involved in the meat industry. They had butcher shops. And of course Mum helped in the butcher shop down there as a young girl when she came out, and she was there for a few years before she married and came to Canberra. And as a consequence of her experience in the butcher shop, when she came here as a newlywed, a young Greek woman married to a dad who was established in Kingston, the butcher couldn't understand how this woman could understand and know so much about the different cuts of meat. And he was absolutely amazed that she learned from Uncle George Harris. Yeah. So we've been a very, very close family with the Harrises, since those very early times. And we've had a lot to do with them over the years. So good news, Jess.
Yes, the rest of the melanoma.
Well, that's good. So that's where we are. Now I'm cooking sausages. Now these, of course, today have really come a little bit of, have become taboo as far as, but the kids love them. So this is essentially for the kids. Now that's what I call a considerate son-in-law. He recognises my work here. Cheers, Manuel. Good health, and cheers to us.
So was Jim older than you, or older brother, or? Yeah.
Jim is the eldest, and
The bossiest?
his wife.
No, is he the bossiest, or was he the bossiest?
The boss of us, yes, as an
bossiest
older
brother.
Oh, godfather, yeah. He was the boss, of course, and won't be hold if you didn't do what he decreed had to be done. That we followed in ignorant bliss, sometimes for the better and sometimes for worse, because of, you know, if we ever got in any trouble in the neighbourhood, he was the one who could tell the story to Mum, and we were, you know, it was always me or one of the others who did something, never him, of course. I mean,
So he was the goody two-shoes, wasn't he?
he was a good person. But of course, I think the worst thing that happened once is that I think Mum or Dad bought him a pair of boxing gloves for his birthday. Well, of course, you can imagine. Mum's got this terrace outside her, leading off the dining room. It's got a rail, steel rail about 3 foot up, and of course it just made the perfect boxing ring, and once that door to the house was closed there was nowhere to go. So of course, you know, I used to put on a pair of gloves, and George would put on a pair of gloves, and Jim would have his gloves, and he'd say, right, sit down that corner, and you sit over in this corner, and then he'd call us out one at a time and just pelt the living daylights out of us. But that's, we were sort of the forerunners of the modern sparring partner. But one can laugh now, but I tell you what, there was no laughing matter then.
So did you ever get him back?
No, not really. Yes. G'day. This is my young nephew. These are Peter's children. Peter's mum's first grandchild, Peter Caruzos. You would know Peter? Tall. Anyway, you'll see him. And he was. He's my sister Nina's first child.
I showed Peter the photos that we took last time you were here.
You know what time the
And I explained to him that the children would all become.
Rocks inside.
Peter, who is this, Peter? Who is this? What's her name?
She's a baby, that's female.
Yeah. Hello, Zoe.
She is 3 days younger than the here in Duke.
Yep, good girl. And she's a big girl and she does gymnastics, I believe. Peter, what's my name, Peter, darling?
You're a bit surprised. Looks like it's
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
She'll be here shortly.
Not move his head a little, just smile. Yes, no, yes. As long as you know. Have a nice treat.
Why is this?
I was curious as to your mother.
Why? Yes.
What sort of mother was she?
She was a strict mother, but a correct mother, a mother of traditional Greek customs. This is the eldest son. He's asking me what kind of a mother was Mum. I said she was strict, but she was correct in her thirds.
She was
And fair.
Kept us on our toes.
Strict and Greek, no English in the house when we were coming up.
Greek lessons, yes. Had to go to Greek lessons. Music lessons. Do the
Music.
garden.
No, strict but
Helped out
fair.
at the shop.
No.
In my case, helped out at the shop.
Oh, yeah.
But starting about 12. Starting
This
about
farm,
12, just to go and pick up the plates and that sort of thing.
And this is the baby of the family. Do you know him, Manuel? He's the baby of the family. Yes, he's
was a sportman.
Yeah, spot right. You can see it.
He was spoiled. I wasn't, and I'm the only girl in the family, but I wasn't spoiled.
So you had the toughest one. It's the
Yes.
Greek way.
It's the Greek way. We can't complain because what she taught us, we try to bring it through our children now. The Greek tradition, thoughts. What else is there to say, really?
It's really the mothers that sort of push that, isn't it?
That's
They
right.
get the credit, but it's the mothers.
It's the mother, so and even today, it's the mother who counts, who raises the children. And the man's gone all day. The men have gone all day. And it's up to us really to impress, not to impress, that's not the word. What's the word? Continue the heritage of the Greek tradition. There we are. That's nicely put. Grandchildren.
Yeah, I'm going to work on that.
Ask the grandchildren. Ask the grandchildren.
Which one's your grandchildren?
My grandchildren, I've got 7 grandchildren, but only the 3 here, because I've got 2 daughters in Greece, and they have.
So they married Greeks, did they?
Yes, yes. I married a Greek. Yes, from Greece, but I've got 3 here. She's the youngest. That's my son.
Did they import him, or did you meet him?
I met him. I was introduced to him. I was introduced here though. Then he took me to Greece. In 1972, we went back to Greece.
1972.
Yes. He told me, he was straight with me, when we got engaged and everything, you know, one day I want to go back to Greece. And he did. He kept his word and we went back.
So you've been living in Greece?
I've been living in Greece. We've been coming back to Australia, back to Greece. My son finished here university, and the girls, they finished school in Greece. They came here and then they went on a tour around Europe, and they stayed in Greece, the 2 girls, and they married there.
So you were an Australian, Greek, and...
Yes, we were. Don't you know the story behind our family? Oh, we're the first Australian Greek children here in Canberra. My brother Jimmy's the first Greek boy.
What was it like as the first Greek girl?
Oh, it was, as Greek children, immigrants of those days, it was hard. They used to call us Dagos. No, ask Jim. At school, they used to call us Dagos. Yes, we had a bit fairly hard to have to cope with calling us a Dago, because there were Italians, and I don't know, but they called us Dagos in those days, being Greeks. First Greek children here, going to school, they didn't know. Ask Jim, he'll tell you the story, because they...
What school did you get at?
I went to Tilapia Park like all of us at the beginning, and then the boys went to the boys' grammar school and I went to the girls' grammar school after that.
And were you still a Dago there?
Oh no, because I was, they didn't call me so much as a Dago as that they called the boys Jim. Because they joined in, they played football, they became a bit more Australianised, but I was kept in the background. Told you I had a bit more strict life.
So you willingly went into the background?
Well, in those days, you know, I'm 60 odd, different times. I listened, as I said, Mum was fairly strict and she kept me in the background a lot. I don't know if she did it purposely, but the boys were more involved in business and I was kept out at the background, that's all. No complaints. No complaints, no. I had a different different breeding from the boys, you know, strict education, elocution, piano lessons, ballet lessons. Oh yes, Mum knew all that. She sent me to all those. Deportment. And that was a big thing in those days. Big thing, deportment, music, elocution, piano. Don't you think so, in those days? Yes. She sent me all to those. Yes. And people still admire her for that. The way she speaks. In everything. Her mannerisms. No, she still likes a lot nice things. Yes, no. People still remember of the days of the Highgate Cafe. You used to come in.
You remember the Highgate yourself?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I remember. You used to take me.
You didn't have to work in the home?
No, Dad didn't want me to work. I did went for a stint after I finished school in the department of statistics. I worked for a while. Would you believe it? Yes, I went there for a while, for a year or so after I finished school. Not straight away, I stayed at home. And I said, Mum, I don't like to stay at home. And I got a job in the department there. Stayed there for a year or so, got married. And my husband didn't want to work, so I stayed at home. Stayed at home.
Straight away?
Yes, yes, straight away. A bit unexpected they came. My son he's nearly 40, there he is, he's nearly 40 now. That one there, and he's just gone in, he's nearly 40, yes, yes. What else is there to say?
What do you say?
Well, I think of things.
You asked me
So
the
what's your
question.
sister-in-law like?
Oh, they're good. I can't
What's
complain.
good about it?
What's good about her? Well,
Well, she's a
she's
thoughtful, lovely
she's
sister-in-law.
expected me. I've accepted her. She's looked after my brother. She's put up with him. How's that, Sophia?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Well, you both have lived together with him for a long time, haven't you?
Yes. Once I married, I went into the background, with my family.
Probably
and
I've lived with him longer than many
Yes, that's right. Well, see, like you say, I'm 40 years married now. I went to Greece for many years. That distance makes a big difference, like Sophia says. She knows him better now. Isn't it? And then, of course, there's my other sister-in-law, Kula. She's married to my John there. He's after me.
So when you went back to Greece, so you felt like they sort of called Judago, a type thing. In Greece, what do they call you?
Oh, no, they accepted me. My husband's family accepted me as an Australian Greek. There's James. Come and save me, James. He's got me here. Come and to the men, please. That's enough. Come on, John. Come on.
So I used to get the lemon.
You're hearing all the experts now, but I want to explain.
Yeah, you get stoned on it, yeah.
I was explaining to Manuel earlier that I come from a long line of cooks, and that grandfather on Mum's side, Mum's father, was a famous cook in Athens, and in the restaurants in Athens at that time, you were rated, the restaurant was rated according to the poisonings that occurred in the restaurant. So, if you had 3 poisonings, you had to put them up on a board. So you had 3 poisonings, and so many people patronised the restaurant, well, the patrons could work out the percentage. So that's how they were. So if you saw a person who had a lot of poisonings, obviously you wouldn't get the business. But, now, see what's happening here. Virtually doubled in the last month since they took them out in England, yeah. And these, I don't know if you took a photo of these Tasmanian salmon. Very nice.
No, not really. No.
So you're the,
You do your job, and I'll just pick up the scraps.
you're the and the video historian in the family?
Well, I've taken a few of the family and their weddings and christenings and so forth.
Have they ever said thank you?
Yes, yes, because Kula at one stage had a professional, and it didn't come out, and I took the film of Helen's wedding, luckily.
So you've got an archive.
Beg your
You have
pardon?
quite an archive of the family growing up.
Oh, yes, yes.
So when did you start with the camera?
Oh, really only about 10 years ago. 10. No, not. They weren't out these. They're much earlier than this.
I had film cameras.
Oh, yeah. I just took a lot of stills, but nothing in the movie.
So you just went into boxing gloves.
That's good. Hello, kids.
It's on video, Dean.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's
So,
good?
Darren, kids.
Good is I can see myself. It's me right at the end.
Hello.
What's she yellow?
How are you?
Good year?
Yeah.
Yeah? She happy
My
here?
favourite part is I like it in the scream. I can see me. Yeah.
I'd really like it if I there's this, I think. Look, what's in that cupboard? 2 daughters and Brock. Yes. Yes, Mum. Yes, I have been actually. I don't know, just silly, I guess. It has.
Mummy.
Yes. The sun's there, isn't it?
Yes. Sunny mine. Sunny
And
mine.
yes, she is my grandmother. Yes. Yes. Helen and I are named after her. I'm an Eleni. Yes. Oh, darling. She's very much an inspiration. Yeah, sorry about the sun. You can see it.
You were saying?
But she's an inspiration, the longevity and what she's accomplished, and she tells a story of in her youth and having young children living at the back of the shop. And, you know, you think they cope very well, but even they've got their tough moments, and makes them a little more human, and makes you feel like you're not doing it as tough as you think you are, and that everyone's been there before you and done it too. So that's very enlightening to hear her talk about raising her family as well.
Well, she had 5, didn't she?
She did.
And you've got 3.
Yes.
So you're the most taking after, aren't you?
Oh no, Peter has 3. Peter's got 3 as well, Peter and Sonia.
Which one's better?
Peter, our other first cousin in the purple shirt. He's Nina and Con's eldest.
So he's got 3 too.
He's got 3 too, they're all here as well.
I must
Sit up,
show
please.
you after.
My yaya.
Your
Yeah,
yes,
your mother.
The youngest of her great-grandchildren, which happens to be my daughter's daughter, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it? That's
Yes.
his
Yeah, she's got the
daughter.
youngest one.
She was 1 in March.
March, eh?
Yes. And my other daughter has twins, I must say.
Yuri, sir, please.
But
Jamie.
she's in Greece.
Yes. Jamie.
He's been influenced by the Asian cuisine as well.
That's a good one.
You've got to, the Asian cuisine has influenced your culinary expertise. Soy sauce, mate.
What else
Why are
amazes
you
you about your grandmother?
crying? Oh,
What
you
else
looked a
amazes
bit,
me
you
about
looked a
my
bit
grandmother?
sad, sweetheart.
She
No,
worries a lot.
He was just a bit
She
too tired.
she tries
Danny. He
to
couldn't get
mother
up.
us all the time still. You know, she's not the sort to let things
Ah,
go as she
wasn't
gets
it
older.
good
Some
about the
people
Brumbies?
renounce responsibility of their
They
family
were,
members
yes.
and things like that. But no, she's right in there in the thick of it all,
Yes, I saw the game.
and you know, tries to give helpful advice when it comes to the children. So they're very much her family. Yeah.
You think that,
I'm not opening it,
are you
darling.
a better mother because of your grandmother?
Well, it's sometimes you listen to what they say. Other times you think that you know better. But it's all. It hurts, darling.
Well, your mother is not as strict as your yaya's mother, grand-yaya.
Yeah, my grandmother, her great grandmother. Yes.
So you haven't learned to be disciplined, have you? A
Me.
disciplinarian.
Oh, I am. Yes.
So you're a
I
bitch
mean,
to it.
I don't know. Maybe it's in the name. We need to be. We strict when we need to be. You have to be.
Is it mummy a good mummy or a happy mummy or
Mummy's both.
bad mummy? A grumpy mummy?
Can be grumpy, mummy. Absolutely.
Not political. Politician.
She's too little.
You a happy mummy or a grumpy mummy?
You're going to be shy. Just getting asked some questions. This one here actually has a funny relationship with her great-grandmother, my grandmother. My grandmother has been to stay at my parents' place when Uncle Manuel goes away. And, you know, this one is heard to say, oh, I don't like a yo, Lenny, I don't like a yo, Lenny. And yet, when they go over there, my grandmother feeds her and gives her her medicine, and she has her bedroom there, and when we go over and she's not there, where's your yo, Lenny, where's your yo, Lenny? So they really have come to know her by when all of them are staying at my mum's. Yeah, so that's been really good, the gap between the generations coming together. it's been really lovely actually getting them to know, and they wouldn't have known each other as well if they hadn't lived there together. Hold on, I'll get it. Can you pass us the water? Thank you. What do you say? Well, you're not eating. Are you eating still? Yes. This is Dimitra. She's named after Helen's eldest son, who's a Dimitri, James, and this one we call her Jamie. Fisho King at Mawson. Yeah, so my father-in-law has the one at Higgins. He actually lives with us as well.
So, did you guys start it off? Or?
Yes, actually my father-in-law, he opened his about 5 years ago, and we opened ours 3.5 years ago now.
So it's only children?
Yes, there's only 2.
So you do the hospitality kind of stuff?
Yes, in food, yes, it keeps going and going. Pardon, Dean?
Hello? Say hello.
Let's say hello.
Come on. Did you finish your dinner?
So you're a grandchild, huh?
Yes, I'm the first grandchild.
You're number one.
I'm number one.
It's a big responsibility.
No, I feel proud about it, but I don't think it's as much responsibility. I'm just as responsible for all the other grandchildren.
Why do you feel proud?
Well, because she's my grandmother, and because of my grandfather as well, the family, the history, and how they came to Australia, and how they made something out of themselves. It's great talking about it.
So you remember it?
I remember him. Oh yes, I'll never forget my grandfather. He was a special man.
Who had the most influence?
I think my grandmother, from the point of view that she was around longer, he didn't get his chance to. Obviously, he died when I was very young, but she's definitely had a lot of influence, helped me a lot, put up with me a lot as well. So, because I lived with her for a while. Yes. She's a very caring person. She really wanted. She's tough. She really wanted to make sure that whatever you do it right, and you don't do the wrong thing by other people, and always consider other people's whenever you do your whatever actions you do. So she helped me with my university and helped me get through it. So she was there for the long nights and the studying and all that. So she was very supportive of me when I was going through the degree by myself, without my parents and my family, my immediate family with me. So
that's when you were living with her?
Yeah. So she tried to make me as comfortable as possible. So that's always going to be important to me, that she spent that time with me.
So were you allowed to bring girls home?
No, I didn't. I didn't try to do that. I didn't. I was probably just too much respect for her, and I had my friends over and all that, and we had some funny moments with them and her, and we watched some videos, and there was some unfortunate scenes, and she always thought that. Then we said, "Oh, don't worry, they're just scary movies." And she said, "They're not scaring me," she said. So, my friends, they've got good memories of her as well, actually. We come over and spend our Friday nights together, and yeah.
So you born here, or you born in Greece?
No, I was born here. We all the grandchildren have been born here, and but I went to Greece when I was 10 years old, and I came here. I came back at about 18, 19 years old. That's when I started my university, so I lived with her. So it's a bit of a shock, being a teenager, then coming and living with a grandmother, and the different environment. Excuse me, Jonah. So, yes. Oh well, all of a sudden you've got responsibilities in a way, because I had to finish what I came here to do and make sure I did it, because my mum and dad sent me over, so paved the way for me to come over. So I had to make sure I finished it. Didn't want to really do it half-heartedly. and so that's why she was very supportive of him, and I had to repay that.
Yeah, I got it.
Your pardon?
It's made you a better person, isn't it?
Oh yeah, she's always there, regardless. Even now that I'm not living with her, she's always making sure we're a better person. You know, always advising and giving her opinions on things. So yeah, she'll never stop wondering or worrying.
Did she interfere?
No. She had a diplomatic way of. Never was like interference, but it was. You knew that. Oh yeah, that's something I have to consider, whatever her opinion was. No. And I enjoy watching her play with my kids. And you know, my grandchildren, her great grandchildren, really love her as well. And have a play with her. You always bring her over to have a play with the kids. It's good to see her with the kids. She always loves saying Greek. She always has a Greek rhyme for everything, for every occasion. So, and sometimes she quotes these spectacular ancient Greek proverbs that and she asks you the question, do you know what it means? And you're scratching your head. So and she always says, keep on teaching the kids to speak Greek and speak to them in Greek. And she always speaks Greek to them when she comes over. And I'm always proud to show her how Zoe does in Greek school, how she's learning Greek and does her homework. So yeah, she's definitely keen on the culture side, and she's very educated. She's got a good memory. It's amazing what she remembers. It's unbelievable. I can't remember any of the proverbs. She just come off her tongue. It's unbelievable. And that's what makes her good in a way, because then she's got something for every problem that you have, or every occasion she has something to say, advice.
So she's had a big influence on you, hasn't she?
Oh yes. Sometimes I think I wish I could have been had half her brain or half her character. Because it's obvious that she's well respected by everyone, and well respected by so many people. There's obviously a lot of quality there. I just hope I got some of it. Really.
Can you see any of it in your children?
It's a bit hard to. It's a bit hard to say. I wish I could. I wish I could say that, and I hope that there is something there.
Yes. Yes. We could use the same clock. How's it going, Peter? Are you pouring your heart out to this man? He has such a lovely face.
It's a good way of getting it out of you.
Yes.
Tell me your name.
Zoe.
You're Zoe.
Yep. And my brother's name is Dean, and my little sister's name is Naomi, and me and my brother have quite a lot of fights and stuff. And
You fight with him?
no, with my little brother Dean.
So who's this one?
Peter.
This is Peter, is it?
Yes.
He's the baby brother, is he?
No.
Who's your cousin? So your mother, what's the name of your mother?
Sonia. Peter.
Where do you come from?
Greece.
So you're a Greek Rex?
Yeah.
But you speak English so well?
Sort of. No, I can talk. I can talk both languages the same.
You're Australian, right?
Yes. She comes from Greece and she came down to visit for a little bit.
Is she good to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's good about it?
She gives us lots and lots of lollies.
Use your best signs, though.
Yes.
And what about you, right here? She give you lots of lots?
Lots and lots.
Who gives you more?
My great grandma.
I know.
So the oldest of all the great grandchildren, aren't you?
Yep.
How old are you?
7. He is 4.5.
Yeah, straight over there, Sophia. Thanks.
Tell me about your great
She gives us lots and lots of rides in her car, and she takes us to lots of fun places. Yeah.
What sort of Greek ones?
Not really.
You don't need all those.
A bit better, not much.
Just to have some greens because we've got scorbaglia. Yeah. Rats.
Battery's flashing.
Yeah.
That's Uncle John. John.
You've got your camera.
He's funny. Yep. Well, he tells lots of jokes, and I'm not sure what else.
What's this one?
He's funny too.
So what's your surname?
Carrizos.
Fancy, Mum, that's how it's
Oh, you're not
What was that again? What was that, Peter? Tell me. What is it?
My name is Helen.
Yeah?
My name is
Manuel, Jane, sorry. Can you ask down? That's all right.
The gorgeous one.
my mum.
That's your mum.
Oh, good, that's fine.
She's not Greek.
Yeah, true.
She's Australian.
Do I? Doesn't the long curly fuzzy hair give it away?
Yeah, that'll be nice.
It's very nice, isn't it? It is choreography, no. Because I don't like feta, so I didn't put the feta in. Yes, it should have feta and olives in it.
They're out of 10. What I find curious, maybe it's because it followed.
My mother-in-law is there. Just photography, c'est donc.
Πότε την έβαλες?
Αυτή την είχα πάνω υψηλά και κατάλαβα ότι δεν το βλέπατε. So I brought it down lower. Isn't that nice? And over here is another one.
Ναι, αυτή είναι ωραία.
Ναι. Λοιπόν, μαμ, πάντα βάζατε ωραία φιονκάκια στις νίνες στο μαλλί.
Και παντελόνια κοντά και με δαντέλα από πίσω.
Και παντελόνια κοντά και με δαντέλα από
Να
πίσω.
φαίνονται η δαντέλα,
Να φαίνεται.
κοντά το φόρεμα.
Και εσείς βάζατε κάτι όταν βγαίνατε έξω.
Ένα λουλούδι.
Πού?
Στα αυτή μου. Oh, I'm sorry.
Caught. Mum was just saying that she always went
Camellia.
out with a camellia. Always at night to dances. Lady of the camellias, yes, but that's, oh sorry, that's Mum. Always wore a camellia in her hair when she went out.
Καμάρωνε μπαμπά.
Que camarone o babá. And your husband was very proud. Mum, why am I interpreting for you? Your English is better than mine.
I wasn't asked. You were asking me, so I was asking you.
Behind it.
Yes, what was the occasion? What did we have there? Was the dance?
Were they a good family?
Yes.
I hear you were very tough, very strong. I hear you were very strong.
You're going to be strong.
Very strong. Let's have 4 boys. Who was the cheekiest?
See, you don't know.
Did you have it like that for a long time? And I love it. When did I see it last like that? Was it like that for the first thing or when you came down?
How old were you then?
That's your bunny.
How old were you there?
That's very cheeky. It is, isn't it? So how did you
I have to calculate to find out. Because, what's his name? I mean, I still understand it.
Who are they? Can you explain their names?
That's Jim.
Oh, that's Jim.
John. Only one daughter.
Blue sea, sand. It was absolute gorgeous.
Oh, Jim. Maybe Jim.
It was absolutely beautiful.
Was it on the desert island?
Yeah, it was.
Off Gladstone.
Central Queensland Coast.
We'll get Jim.
This area where we did anything that's brown.
Πόσο χρόνο ήταν ο Μανώλης?
Ο Μανώλης επανέφασε το χέρι του
About 14. Look, I can't remember what year it would be, but he's 14, so that would be 40 years ago. 40 years ago. So we've got 1960. About 1960.
What was your occasion? Just family photo? Just
Might be, I can't recall what the occasion was. Just a family photo.
Which one are you?
Here. About 10. That was taken in Sydney.
In Sydney, was it? Hello, the.
He's about 4. 5. That's John. John looks he's about 3. There. So that would be 58 years ago. 58 years ago.
58 years ago.
Yeah.
I want you to see the finished product.
Perfectly cooked. Perfectly cooked.
The camera wants a bite.
My cheeky family.
There's Harry. Unfortunately, he's working and won't be able to be here.
I thought he might be
There's a photograph of Harry. Here's my husband Harry. He's not here today.
Yeah, so he's here in spirit.
Τις φωτογραφίες από το holiday.
Just on the
They're
second
here.
video.
That's sunrise on the morning we left.
These are my lovely girls Emmanuel. And my son Harry has called 3 times from London to wish Yaya well, but his last call was that it was 1 in the morning and he really couldn't stay up any longer, and he was going to set the alarm and call her later on. Yes, for her birthday. He's so
What did you want me to do?
Tell me about your grandmother.
Oh, well, I'm sure everyone's told you more about her than I could tell you. But I'll just add that I love her, and oh, she looks great, and oh, it's very, very nice to be able to have this function for her in our house. I don't know, she's lots of fun. I lived with her for a little while I was at uni, for about 2 or 3 months. Yes, she was very, very strict, and every time I wanted to leave the house, she had to know where and how and who was picking me up, and but God love her. No, we've had a great time with Yaya. She's lots of fun, and there'll be plenty more fun times to come. And oh, I don't know what else I can tell you about her. Everyone, I'm sure, has already told you what a switched-on lady she is, and how sharp she is, and how well preserved she is for a 90-year-old. And yeah, I don't know really what else to say.
What did you get from her?
What did I get from her? I don't know. Some people say my small face, which is quite a bizarre thing, with slightly more kilos on it than usual. But I don't really know what qualities I've got from Yaya. I haven't really been tested enough to see anything really emerge. I've had quite a cushy sort of life, so I don't know. I haven't seen myself in anything really, any sort of situations of great adversity or anything, because I've always had my family support around me and that, and I've always found strength in them. So I really don't know what qualities I have. But yeah, I'd like to think I'm as intelligent. But anyway, that'll be for other people to comment on at my 90th birthday. I really don't know. I got her surname. That's about all.
You want to keep that?
Yes, I do. Very proud of my name, Notaras, absolutely. And I'm only sorry that I didn't get to know my grandfather. I mean, no, he died when I was, I think, 1. Died in 1971. So I didn't get to know him, but everyone talks so highly of him, and he sounds like he was a really, really fine gentleman. So I'm sorry I didn't get to know him. But then I knew my grandparents on the other side, who were also very exceptional people, so I feel very blessed that I've come from such a fine family. I'll try to uphold the tradition. I'm trying, so we'll see. Happier times in the future, hopefully. So, yeah.
So you want to live GB Monday?
If I could have all my children around me and enjoy the kind of health that my grandmother enjoys, yes. If I could be in that situation, why not? I think she's had a marvellous life. I mean, I know it was harder for her when the children were young, but then again, no one forced her to have 5 children. But yeah, look, if I could live with all my children around me and taking care of me, yep, I wouldn't mind living till I was 90. Living long enough to be a bother to everyone, although people already say that I am a bother, but it's not deliberate.
You started already. When you were young.
Beg your pardon?
You started already.
Yeah, that's true. Oh well, not deliberately.
lemon, salt and nice pepper.
So his husband's and the wife team doing the cooking?
Oh yes, oh. I taught him everything he knows. If it's tasty, that is. Oh, Emmanuel. Everyone in. And we'll put that down.
But in the kitchen and the laundry, no, it's going to wipe it off. At cook, when we did cook, I had matte white tiles in my kitchen.
There's a shiny one.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what I want in the house.
Oh, you can get Tim to design it.
You know when
I want Tim to actually do a design for me off what's there. What's Tim? Thank you.
He's an architect.
Oh, he's an architect.
I've got an idea.
Hey, what's this? What's this? There's somebody there. There's Steve's there. There's your sister.
That's your sister? She's a good sister? Okay. Sure?
Can I go?
Okay. Go.
Oh, there's got a caveman! Ah, John!